everybody. Good Thursday. Thank you for being with us. I'm Vicky Nguyen.
Such a joy to be with you. I'm Morgan Radford. NBC News Daily starts right now.
Welcome to NBC News Daily this Thursday. We're going to start with a race for the White House with just 12 days to go until the election. Both campaigns are getting...
We begin with NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba there in Washington. Monica, I cannot believe we are only 12 days away. Immigration, of course, I'm sure I'm hearing from voters, a top issue for a lot of them. And of course, it came up a lot at this town hall last night. So how is Harris sort of drawing a line between her policies, especially when we look at that issue, which Republicans are trying to hit her hard on, not only, based on the Trump campaign, but also sort of separating herself and distancing herself a bit now from the Biden administration?
Yeah, those have been two big theme days, guys.
Monica, what are your sources telling you about how Harris is planning to make her closing argument to voters in this final 12 days? We also understand she's really trying to pull out some big celebrities and have some star power by her side over the next few days.
Yeah, she'll have former President January 6th speech coming up on Tuesday. Vicky and Morgan.
Monica Alba, thank you very much. We want to bring in NBC News correspondent David Noriega now. He joins us live from Las Vegas, Nevada, where Trump will be later tonight. So, David, Trump's Nevada rally is really specifically targeting Asian Americans. That is the fastest growing demographic in the state. Asian Americans make up about 12% of Nevada's electorate. Trump lost there by just fewer than 3 points back in 2020. Tell us more about this strategy by Trump in the Sun Belt.
David, the former president has been veering off script a lot during his rallies, but he's also been ramping up personal attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris. He, of course, did that before, but they seem to be getting a little bit more targeted, more direct and forceful in recent days. NBC News also has reporting that Trump's campaign wants him, though, to remain focused on specifically the immigration issue, inflation, foreign policy. Why do they think that so close to the election, that is a winning strategy when we, understand from voters that almost the more Trump goes off script, his base seems to react positively to that?
Yeah, so look, they
Today, more than 30,000 Boeing machinists are back on the picket line after union members rejected the aerospace giant's newest labor contract.
Now, Boeing had promised 35% raises, a $7,000 ratification bonus, and better retirement benefits. But the workers said this simply wasn't enough. 64% of union members voted against this deal, extending this now month-long strike. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has been following all of this since the beginning. Tom, look, the union overwhelmingly rejected this latest proposal. Yeah. Sort of explain to us, why? What ultimately were the sticking points, and why did they feel like this simply wasn't a good enough offer?
This really speaks to the bad blood between the unions and junk status. So Boeing is in a real hard situation right now.
That's a bind.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, any idea what this means if you are an airline passenger, a traveler? Are we going to see any of these effects?
Yeah, but you probably won't realize it. And here's why. Already the airlines are
potentially fewer flight options for us. All right, Tom Costello, thank you.
Down the road. That's right. Yep.
All right, well, speaking of options, it's time now to talk about our CNBC Money Minute, where Apple and Goldman Sachs are facing nearly $90 million in fines for allegedly misleading customers. Now, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says the companies mishandled their credit card business, affecting hundreds of thousands of Apple card holders.
I've actually seen notices about this myself. CNBC Tech Check anchor Deirdre Bosa joins us now. So, Deirdre, what exactly are these regulators accusing the companies of doing to mislead customers, and also how the companies responding?
If you're part of it.
Yeah, it can result in a lot of savings per year for folks.
That's absolutely right. Deirdre Bosa, as always. Thanks, Deirdre. We are learning new details on the deadly E. coli outbreak tied to McDonald's. Now, the first lawsuit was filed just yesterday against the fast food giant.
Health officials are now zeroing in on the onions as a likely source of the contamination. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa has more.
Some tips for us. Vicky, just first off, what can we do now to prepare for that eventuality of taking care of an elderly family member?
It's so important, Morgan, to have that conversation right now with your family before crisis. Find out what the expectation is from your parents and from your siblings in terms of splitting costs and responsibilities. Then talk about the financials. You do want to set aside as much money as you can for any kind of emergency, but also for long-term health care as well. So get familiar with what Medicare and Medicaid cover. Supplemental Medicare insurance is also available for prescription drugs, which is really important. And make sure you're gathering all of those documents, financial, insurance, and health documents for the family member you're caring for. Put them in one place. Finally, explore long-term care insurance. Each policy covers different things, so you want to review each one carefully.
What if a parent needs to live at home with you?
Yeah, well, insurance company Prudential found in a recent survey that Americans around age 55 are critically underprepared for retirement, and that is prompting a generation of silver squatters. We've talked about it on this show, people moving back in with their adult children. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Multi-generational homes can result in less loneliness, stronger family bonds between grandkids and grandparents, even great home cooking. But take a look at the finances. How much will your parents get in Social Security payments? What kind of medical benefits do they have? Do they have any savings or property that could help? And as a caregiver, don't forget to keep your own savings a priority. It can be stressful to be that sandwich generation where you're worried about your elderly parents, but you also have younger or college-age kids. Remember, your kids have the gift of time and financial earning potential. So if they have to take out a low-interest student loan, they have time to pay that off.
And what about some resources that we can go to if an elderly family member needs just a little bit of extra help?
So important. A lot of state agencies can help you. Here it's the New York Office for Aging. AARP is also another resource that's national, but they have local chapters. The same for the Alzheimer's Association. They have an 800 number that you can call and say, listen, this is where I live. How can you help me? And finally, the federal government's website, eldercare.gov, a wonderful list of resources there. Morgan?
All right, Vicky Nguyen with the latest and greatest. Stay right here. Hey again, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome back. It is 12:30 in Charleston, West Virginia, and right here in New York City. I'm Morgan Radford.
I'm Vicky Nguyen. Here's what's making news right now.
The man accused of shooting at a Democratic campaign office in Arizona multiple times was allegedly preparing for a mass casualty event. That's all according to prosecutors, who say that federal agents found more than 120 guns, including machine guns, as well as a grenade launcher, scopes, silencers, body armor, all when they searched the home of 60-year-old Jeffrey Michael Kelly.
Kelly is also accused of hanging anti-Harris political signs in the suburbs of Phoenix with bags of unknown white powder and razor blades attached to them. Kelly is now facing several felony charges, including multiple counts of terrorism. NBC's Alex Tabbitt is live in Tempe, Arizona for us today. So, Alex, what else did they find in Kelly's home? And what are we learning about his criminal past?
Well, Vicky, on top of the really harrowing stuff, and luckily the suspect is in custody. Morgan and Vicky.
Wow, all right, on the ground there in Arizona, Alex Tabbitt. Alex, thanks.
Morgan, the Justice Department issuing a new warning to Elon Musk. NBC News has learned the agency sent a letter to the billionaire's pro-Trump super PAC saying that his $1 million giveaway to voters in key swing states could be illegal. Musk is one of the former president's biggest supporters. He's promised to continue this daily sweepstakes until Election Day. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins us now. So, Ken, you can't actually pay someone to register.
Thing in their defense, but that's the status right now.
Oh, that's so weird and vague that the DOJ has kind of issued this may be illegal stance. How likely is it that they may pursue action? And also, like Musk, this super PAC, clearly it seems like they're not worried about it.
Yeah, and I think that's because it is so murky. And I think
Registered to vote as a result of this. All right, Ken Delanian, thank you very much.
you bet.
Well, right now in Lower Manhattan, the New York Liberty is being honored with a ceremony at City Hall to mark.
Emily Cato joins us now for Lower Manhattan. Emily, I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. I am so thrilled to see women's sports finally getting the recognition that they really deserve and have earned. And this wasn't an easy road for the New York Liberty. I mean, what does a win like this mean for fans of the team and fans of women's basketball and sports?
Morgan, Vicky.
About what this means for them to see this happening here in New York after such a long time. And the owners of the Liberty actually really talked about their investment. You know, they've only owned this team for 5 years, but they really poured a lot of resources into this and said, this is what happens when you believe in women's sports.
They believe in it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang out at Barclays Center tonight, guys.
Awesome.
She can do it.
Let the party continue.
Yeah.
Emily Aketa, thank you so much.
Well, coming up next, how a new book is...
Corey Richards is an award-winning photographer and filmmaker who says his latest project is a tribute to both the adventures he's been on and his mental health struggles. It is a book of his work called
Nature, and says that he wanted to show people that their greatest hurdles, when shown through just a different lens, can become their biggest strengths. We are so honored to have Corey Richards with us in studio. Corey, I think this topic is so important, but it's also very timely because people are often touched by people who have this
Yeah.
mental struggle, this
Yeah.
mental specific illness, but also they may not know that they are. You found out when you were 14. What was that like to grapple with this very life-altering conversation at that age?
Well, I mean, I think early on, it appeared to me as sort of this sentence that something was wrong with me. And I think that's where this whole idea of stigma comes from, where there's this element of brokenness in mental health diagnoses. And I want to break that story open. I want to push that. I want to break the story of broken.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes those labels put people really into a box. Talk to us about how this book helped you in your mental health journey and what you're hoping that the readers take away from it.
Yeah, so this was actually sort of it's an ecosystem with my memoir, which is called The Color of Everything. And that's the internal exploration of all this mental health stuff. And this is sort of the external expression of what that created. And so my hope is really that it opens up the conversation around our internal landscape as expressed through the external landscape, and sort of an inquisition into how we can harness these challenges and these journeys and turn them into our greatest strengths.
And the photographs are beautiful.
The photographs are beautiful, and there's quite a few that struck me. I see you sort of scaling the mountain here. You actually survived an avalanche back in 2012, but you kept climbing until one day you didn't. What made you finally stop?
Well, actually, I had what's called a mixed episode, a bipolar 2 episode at the base camp of the 7th highest mountain in the world, Dhaulagiri, while we were training for a new route that had never been climbed on Everest. And there was just I think it was the internal stress of living in this high stimulation environment for so long that finally my nervous system needed a way to step away from this. And that was sort of my signal. And so I let it go. I let go of climbing, and I let go of photography at that point to some degree.
Wow, such a mind-body connection. We hear about it a lot, and in this case, you were listening to your mind because your body had this physical reaction. The book is actually separated into sections of polarizing emotions.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through that. Explain which one was toughest to sort of capture in a photo.
Well, so the idea was, as I was trying to organize it, I was like, how do I do this? Because I wanted it to relate to The Color of Everything. I wanted it to be about mental health, and then I realized I had photographed from the Arctic to Antarctica, so bipolar. And then
That's pretty cool.
Literally, yeah.
literally
I see what you did
bipolar.
there.
Yeah,
I
you
like
see
that.
it? Yeah.
I like that.
And so then it was, hope and fear, camaraderie and isolation, things like this, because they rely on one another. So a rejection of either is a rejection of both. And our emotional state is so paradoxical in that way.
Yeah.
We can only hope with fear present. And so the stories are sort of categorized in those ways, and the way that I felt shooting them.
I tell you, you sold me. I want to open the page. Listen, we only have about 30 seconds, but I would love for you to use that time to talk to a 14-year-old who just got a similar diagnosis.
You're not broken. Nothing is actually wrong with you. Your brain, just break it down to the facts. Your brain functions in a certain way at certain times. And if you can learn how to harness that and manage it, it can be your greatest gift and a gift to the world around you.
And you may see things that other people can't do.
Absolutely.
Beautiful question, beautiful answer. Corey Richards, thank you so much, and stay with us. You're watching NBC News Daily.